All right, guys, the final video for this unit, let's go back to what we did here. We talked about exponent laws. Okay, and you went from there to looking at what a term is. Okay, it's got a coefficient and a variable maybe, or it might just have a number by itself, what we call a constant. So a whole number like -7 or something like that. And if you had a couple things, so I might have something like this, 3x squared. There's my coefficient, there's my variable, and I can add to it maybe a constant. So I have a number with no variable, that's a constant. 6 is always 6, so it's always constant. And if you do this and you have a plus or a minus between them, you could have what's called a polynomial. This has 2 terms, so it's a binomial. If we had 3 terms, it would be a trinomial, etc., etc., etc. Then we finished up with, well, we did a little bit of word problems here. And after that, we finished up with collecting like terms. So if the terms are the same, we can clean them up. So if we have, 6x squared and we have 9 more x squared, we have together 6 and 9. We add those together, we had 15x squared. Okay, don't do anything weird with the squares. Know when to stop. So if I have that plus 3x, let's say, and I end up with this, 15x squared plus 3x, at that point, don't do anything strange and go, that's 18x cubes or whatever. Okay, don't multiply. You can multiply though, which we're going to get to in a second. So that's the last part here is we're going to multiply, and we're going to multiply by using the distributive property. So we went through this in class where we showed that if you have a bracket, 2 terms in a bracket being added or subtracted, and a number in front, if you multiply each of them separately, so if you go if you follow BEDMAS and add them together first, so 9 plus 4 is 14, and you multiply that by 7, you get 98. Conversely, I like to use that word when I can, you could say that I'm going to multiply both the 9 and the 5 by 7, because eventually you will. So let's see what happens if I multiply them first by 7, then add them. And if you do that, you get 63, you get 35, and lo and behold, another term I like to use, you get the same answer. Same with this. You get 9 times 8, 9 times 3 over here. With a negative between them, so it's 9 times -3. You end up with 45, which is the same as adding together, and we call that the distributive property. When you can multiply, when you have something in front of the bracket, you open it up by multiplying everything in front of the bracket by what's in, everything in the bracket by what's in front of the bracket. So I say that over and over and over again. Multiply by what is in front of the bracket. Okay? So there's a bracket, open it up, that's 2 times all this, so let's do 2 times all of this. Okay, you can't collect like terms here because there's no like terms. So you have a 5x and a 3. If you could, you'd be better off putting them together, but you can't. So you multiply this by 2, you multiply this by 2. That times 2 is 2 times 5x is 10x, 2 times 3 is 6. If you have a negative in front of a bracket, I went over this. A little pet peeve of mine is the term special case. There's no special case. Negative is -1. So -1 times this, -1 times that, -1 times that is -7x, -1 times that is +4. Okay, 2 negatives and a plus. You got lots of signs here. Plus and a minus is a minus and a minus is a plus, and you end up with a plus. Okay, if the if the term in front of the bracket has a variable, then you have to multiply by the variable. So here I have 3x and 2x squared. That becomes 3x times 2x squared, and that's 3 times 2 is 6. X times x squared is x cubed. So multiply the constants together to get 6. Multiply the variables together, and remember when you multiply variables, you add the exponents. So that's x, which is x to the 1, x squared. That's x, 1 plus 2, x cubed. That's how you get that. 3x times minus 5x. 3 times 5 is 15. So that's your number here, but you have a negative in front, so that has to be negative. And then x times x is x squared. And the final part here is 12x. You cannot collect any like terms. You would have been able to collect terms in the bracket. So once you've expanded, you don't even have to worry about looking for like terms to collect, because you would have been able to find them inside the bracket. So always look in the bracket to see if you can collect first. If not, then just go ahead and multiply. Minus x times x, that's minus x squared. Minus x times minus 3. Negative times a negative is a positive. X times 3 is 3x. That's me trying to be efficient, and look what happened. So do this in one step. You can do it one step if you want. Instead of showing what you're doing, you can just go ahead and say that times that is that, that times that is that. So minus 2 times 5x, you can just write down as negative 10x. You don't have to write out the step. Here, you don't have to write negative 2 times 5x. You can just write out the product. Okay, so minus 2 times 5 is minus 10, and then you just have the x. Minus 2 times 3 is negative 6. So again, you don't have to write out this. Plus minus 3. So it gets confusing actually with the when you have a negative here also. So are you writing plus minus 2 times negative 3, or are you writing plus 3 times negative 2? It's up to you how you want to write it. But that's what you end up with. Okay, you're probably better off writing it like this, to tell you the truth. 5x times negative 2 plus 3 times negative 2. That just keeps the signs in order. Just seems a little weird to put the what you're multiplying at the back, but you could do that. And if you do that, you end up with minus 10x and minus 6. Okay, but hopefully you get to the point where you don't have to do that. You can just open up the bracket and do that part in your head. So here I have a negative in front of a bracket. So again, just multiply by negative 1. And the signs change. Sure, that's what happens. Okay, but I don't want to talk about it being a special case because it's multiplying by a negative term, and a negative term will change the signs, right? Because this is negative times a positive, this is negative times a positive, so they both become negative. So what happens here is you open this up, you get 5x plus 3. Okay, just open it up. There's a 1 in front, so you end up with the same terms here. This is negative 1 times 9x, gets you negative 9x. Negative 1 times 3 gets you negative 3. Now collect like terms. You can do what we did earlier, where you circle the like terms, right? So there's these two terms are negative 4x, and then you have a plus 3 and a minus 3. And because plus 3 and minus 3 are 0, we don't write that. We just get rid of it, clean it up further, and we just write it as the whole thing is minus 4x. Okay, so again, like I said, hopefully you can just multiply without that first step here. So 3 times m is 3m. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. 4 times m is 4m. 4 times 1 is plus 4. Collect like terms. You have your m terms, 7 of them. You have your constant terms, 11, negative 11 of those. That's it. Okay. That's collecting like terms. That's multiplying. That's everything. That's the whole term. If you can do, sorry, the whole unit. If you can do that, you're in great shape. You might have, the only question that would be tougher than this would be to start with kind of combining the two, where you have a variable in the front, so something like this. So I'll give you a second to try this one. You could even throw a negative in there if you felt like it. Oh, this is a good one. Watch this question. So did we do any with 3 terms? No, we just did binomials, but we could do a trinomial if we felt like it. Okay, so let's just go over this. First, you open up this bracket and you multiply everything in the bracket by what's outside the bracket. So x squared times 3x is 3x cubed. 2 times 3x is then going to be plus 6x. Then when you do this, I got a trinomial here. Okay, so I got something, a bracket here. I want to open this up. Same rules apply. You multiply everything like this. X squared times x is x cubed. So sorry, you multiply everything in the bracket by what's in front of the bracket. So I'm going to put an x there actually. No, I'll put an x squared. I don't know, why not? Okay, they're not in order, but x squared times plus 4x squared will get you plus 4x to the 4. And the last thing will be negative 3 times x squared will get you minus 3x squared. And then collect like terms here. Oh, collect like terms here. You can look here and go, I have x cubed, I have x cubed. So together I have 4x cubed. I also have a 4x to the 4, so I'd probably write that first. We'll rearrange this after. And then I have the x squared and I have the x. So when we do this, it doesn't come up in the videos. I'm sure it came up in class. But when you do this, you want to put the term with the highest exponent first. So 4x to the 4 will go first. 4x cubed goes second. And then keep them in order, squared. And oh, in descending order. Okay, there's your 4, your 3, your 2, and your 1. Okay. Anyway, that's it. If you could do this question here, if you could follow that last question, you're in great shape. If not, practice. Okay, it's not too difficult, I think. The questions, there's only so many different questions I can ask you. Okay, but also, again, stop. Here, know when to hold them, as Kenny Rogers said. Okay. Know when to stop collecting like terms, because these terms are not like terms, they're unlike terms. X to the 4, x cubed, x squared, and x, they're not the same thing. So don't jam them together in any way. It's apples and oranges and bananas and whatever. Okay, that's it. See ya.